Hi, and welcome to another episode of All Things Considered. Today, I'm talking about Uber and how it's affecting Seattle. It says up to $3.80 a day. Uber suggests possible downtown tolling programs for Seattle. Uber, of all things, is suggesting a $3.80 a day downtown tolling program for Seattle. It says here, as Mayor Jenny Durkin considers tolling downtown streets or taxing Uber and Lyft rides, Uber is doubling down on its support for tolls everyone would pay. It says here, the ride-hailing company released an analysis this week of downtown tolls, known as congestive pricing. People are going to be really against that, and I can explain to you why real quick. People are going to be against the downtown tolling because they don't want to pay it. But the downtown tolling is done for a reason. Seattle, see, when I lived in Seattle back in the 90s, Seattle didn't used to be congested like it is now. It had great bus service. It relieved all the stress off the streets in downtown. Yes, you still had cars, but for the most part, you park and ride, and you got incentives to come in. And a lot of people that worked in Seattle, they were over in Marrowstone Island and various places. So they'd just take a ferry boat over to Seattle, and they wouldn't have to pay nothing to get here, but they would have to pay to get back. That was how Seattle took care of the people it would take care of people not getting stuck over on the islands. But they had buses, all electric. It was all free in the downtown zone. It was all electric, but they got a lot of money donated privately to help them do that, because the people back then appreciated the clean air, and they appreciated the beautiful city, and they appreciated the fact that it wasn't as congested in downtown. Now it says here, the ride-hailing program released an analysis this week of downtown tolls known as congestive pricing, saying the policy would reduce travel times, increase transit use, and bring in more than $100 million a year. The findings broadly align with a city-commissioned report released earlier this year, but the new analysis gets more specific, contemplating a toll of up to $3.80 per day, depending on the time of day drivers enter downtown. Drivers would only pay once per day at the highest rate applicable to their trip and could have about 6 minutes on average trips during peak time morning and evening hours, according to the white paper written by a consulting firm, Econ Northwest. Now, I don't know too much about Econ Northwest, but I'll double check on that. It says here it's possible to have a low cost per driver implementation with the right impacts to congestion and the ability to reinvest in public transportation, said Chris Pangilinan, Uber's head of global policy for public transportation. It's unclear what effects the Uber funded report will have at City Hall, where elected officials have varying views on the controversial company, and 7 of 9 city council seats are on the ballot this year. But by providing an example of how much Seattle drivers might actually pay per congestion prices, it would help shape public debate over an issue that's up to now has largely played out in the abstract, which means that major companies ain't going to like it. They're going to riff-raff and talk and shake their fists and say how badly it is and why it's a bad idea, and it's just a way to keep people out of the city. It's not to keep people out of the city. It's to figure out how to get people into the city without them driving their cars as much. Cities like London and Stockholm charge congestion tolls, and New York approved congestion pricing this year. Seattle has for years discussed the possibility, but talks have gained more attention as the city confronts snarled traffic and climate changes. Durkin said a tolling program would be in place by the end of her first term in 2021. It says here, why more coverage of congestion pricing? Why would you pay to drive in downtown Seattle? Study looks at the pros and cons of congestion pricing. I'll do that for another video. It says here, Durkin is also considering another charge though. A fee only on ride-hailing app trips, which is opposed by Uber. Oh, it's a fee only on ride-hailing app trips, which means that they're going to single out Uber and Lyft and all of those. It's not clear whether Durkin plans to implement one or both charges or when she will decide. A spokeswoman for Durkin said she could not comment on Uber's analysis to Tuesday, but the mayor is committed to moving forward with the congestion pricing in a fair and equitable way that includes community input. Now, that's kind of a tricky thing because the federal government says that the roads are ours. The roads belong to the United States citizens, to us. We put them in the capable hands of the powers that be that are put there to do our bidding, not their bidding, but our bidding. So basically, putting up a toll would be kind of federally illegal. If they get through with that and somebody's smart, they'll try to sue on federal grounds. Congestion pricing in Seattle would have to pass public vote. The Econ Northwest analysis used data from Uber, the Puget Sound Regional Council, and the U.S. Census to estimate that traffic trips into downtown could increase by 4% under Uber's pricing scheme. The charge of up to $380 would bring in $130 million a year, not accounting for the cost of running the program, according to the report. Some skeptics of tolling worries about the burden on low-income drivers. The City Commission report included several possible strategies, including discount based on income. Uber's report suggests charging all drivers, but then offering rebates for people with low income. There's going to be people that are in a higher income bracket that are going to say, "This is fucked up, man. It's not fair." Again, with the larger size of clothes, having to pay more for more material. But I think people should care about the low income. They shouldn't be forced to care. They should just automatically care and say, yeah, I have the extra money. I can afford to pay that. You're not quite so fortunate as I am, so therefore we should help you out by taking the burden off of you. But people don't do that, do they? It says here, the white paper suggested a rebate program administered by downtown employers to low to moderate income employees. There we go with thinking that moderate to low income employees are the only ones that drive. You have people that are on a fixed income, on disability, that are making $771 a month without any kind of state funding to help them, that drive as well. Everything's catered to people that work. Everybody else is not important. You're not even thought of. It's just the way it goes. A voucher program similar to parking validation for people with lower incomes making certain necessary trips like medical appointments and a dividend paid to allow low-income households. The analysis assumes that $50 million a year in toll revenue would fund those programs. If half the folks were exempted from paying the toll, there would be no congestion reduction, and that would make the whole exercise not worth doing, said Matthew Kitchen, project director for Econ Northwest, who authorized the report. You have to find a way to make people financially whole that doesn't reduce incentives to avoid driving. But a rebate program would front load costs to drivers, said Hester Cerebrin, policy director of Transportation Choices Coalition, in an email. While that might discourage driving, this only works to reduce congestion if people indeed have a choice. Many people have been priced out of transit-rich areas that provide a reliable and affordable alternative to driving. Transportation Choices Coalition supports a rate structure based on drivers' income instead. Of the total tolling revenue, the highest earning 10% of households would pay about a quarter of the tolls, about the same share as paid by the lowest half of households by income, according to Econ Northwest analysis. The City Commission report found mixed results. People who make more than $75,000 a year would be more likely to pay more than those making less than $50,000. What about the ones that are making $25,000 a year or less? But the people with low incomes north and south of downtown may own cars out of necessity and therefore may experience greater negative impacts. Regardless of who pays, a flat charge would eat up a larger share of low-income person's money than that of a person with a higher income, and that will leave the policy facing opposition from some of Seattle City Council. Councilmember Kashima Sawant said in a recent council meeting, congestion pricing could be burdensome and unjust for some downtown workers. Councilwoman Lisa Herbold opposes tolls on downtown streets. At a forum over the weekend, Herbold said that she worries about the policy's effect on West Seattle residents. There really needs to be an equity analysis of drivers based on where they geographically are arriving to downtown from. According to the video of the event, we should take a look, Herbold added, at whether or not there is an alternative approach, like, for instance, using congestion pricing on Ubers and Lyfts instead. Well, Uber and Lyft ain't going to like that either. That takes money out of their pocket. Anyway, that's a video that I wanted to do for a day or so about the congestion taxing and tolling on downtown Seattle. Anyway, like and subscribe to the video, put a comment down there, let me know your thoughts, good or bad, it doesn't matter, just keep it clean. I don't like a lot of cursing. Yes, in my videos I will curse occasionally if it's to prove a point or to show that I'm really fed up with the way things are going. I don't like cursing, I don't like being foul, but it happens from time to time and I understand. Just don't make it a habit, as I try not to. This has been All Things Considered. Please like and subscribe to the video. Let me know what you think. You're helping me out. I appreciate everybody that comes to my channel. And have a good evening, Seattle, and all points beyond.